Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the RGM Experience podcast with me, Carl Maloney. How are you doing? You all right? A podcast where we delve into the grassroots music industry and beyond and find interesting people within it. And today's, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an amazing guest, Adam Robinson. Hi, mate.
How we doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, sound, thanks. You?
Good. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
just sat in your kitchen, all chilled out, relaxed, ready to go.
Yeah. I've got a free house, so
Have you?
a bit of peace and quiet while we do this.
Have you had to kick them out then, or what?
Yeah, yeah. I've been, strictly not allowed back before 7.
Where have you sent them off to anyway? Nice.
No, I think they've just gone down the road,
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
wherever.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it's always interesting meeting new artists and chatting about people's journey within this music industry that we all enjoy messing about in. So where do we start with you, Adam? Then, before we go into, because obviously we've got your new single out and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. That's shared all over, going to be shared all over RGM shortly.
yeah.
Talk me through if people aren't aware of you already, Adam. Introduce us to yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start there.
Yeah. So I'm based in Derbyshire. That's where I live. But I'm kind of working as a full-time musician. So I gig a lot at bars and pubs
Yeah.
and music venues, like loads of different stuff. So I'm on the road like 4 or 5 times every week, just with the guitar, playing a lot of stuff. And I've been doing that for about 17 years now.
Yeah.
More recently, over the last couple of years, it's got more busy with it, and it's become like more like a full-time kind of thing. But yeah, so alongside that, I write original music as well, and I take,
Mm.
if one seems like it's a bit of a hit or it's something that I quite like, I'll take it into the studio and record. And yeah, I've been doing that more over the last like 12, 18 months, and it's going really well at the moment. So fingers crossed, it's kind of leading to something. I'm not sure what it's leading to yet, but we'll
Nobody's
see.
ever sure where it leads us. I don't think.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
just life.
Things keep happening, and like gigs pop up, and people are getting in touch and stuff like that. So it's it's a good little journey that I'm on at the moment. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
I'm fascinated by the journey of any kind of musician. Every journey is different. And where did your love of music start? Talk me through little Adam growing up in school. What was the surroundings like around you? Paint a picture of your beginnings into life.
Yeah. God, where to start? So yeah, I suppose there was always a guitar in our house, and there was
Yeah.
always a lot of records and CDs. Like my dad is a massive musician, and he's a really good musician. He plays a lot of everything, but he's a really, really good drummer. And I suppose from like just being a kid, just listening to music, the records he used to put on Led Zeppelin and loads of different artists. Growing up in the '90s as well, being a kid, and I've got family from like Greater Manchester area, so obviously the ties with like Oasis and
Mm.
Stone Roses and stuff like that just kind of naturally happened as being a kid. And then I was always into like performing and being involved in some kind of show. And I remember shows at primary school. I was Danny Zuko in Greece one year, and that was like the pinnacle for me.
Yeah.
And my life has changed ever since then.
I thought you were going to say it's gone downhill since then.
But no. So yeah, I've always had a massive interest in music, and I was always fascinated in like guitars and bands and these kind of people that were on the telly and on records and stuff like that. As I got older, and obviously your music taste kind of changed a little bit, but I suppose going to Glastonbury in 2008, I think it was, and I saw the Verve there and all these other bands, Kings of Leon, Amy Winehouse, Editors, like so many great artists. And it was the first kind of big music thing that I'd ever been to. And I remember seeing the Pyramid stage and just thinking, wow, like that's amazing. And I remember getting back from Glastonbury, and my dad was in a local band, and the guitarist who I'm still really good friends with. I kind of got in touch with him and said, I want to kind of take my guitaring seriously now, because I always had a guitar, but I was just learning a couple of chords here and there. But it wasn't until kind of seeing that on the big scale, certainly the Verve that night when they closed it, and it was unbelievable, you know, and it just kind of made me think, right, I've got to kind of take this more serious now. So it just went from there, and I became obsessed, absolutely obsessed with just guitar and music and learning new chords and stuff like that. And then I started going to like open mic nights on a Sunday, and there was another guy who lives in the village where I'm from. He was playing music, really good musician, and I still play music with him now. He's in my Originals band now, and I ended up doing a gig with him on a Sunday, and it was amazing. You know, we did about 20 songs. Everyone really liked it, and we ended up becoming an acoustic duo for about 10 years. And we gigged religiously, you know, week in, week out, local pub. We had a residency at the local pub on a Friday night. And they, you know what I mean? They were some of the best times in my life in terms of music. So, yeah, I suppose from there, and it's just been a natural kind of, it's gone more and more and more as I've got older. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And now I'm here, sat in my
kitchen. Well, talk us through, because you mentioned your dad there, drummer, being in bands and that kind of stuff. So is he still playing now in bands and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, he plays bits. I mean, he lives abroad now. He's a teacher. Oh, right. But yeah, he plays bits and bobs, and he does a bit of recording, and he's got this massive music taste where he's just into everything. Yeah. So, and he's a brilliant drummer. There's a couple of singles that I've done from a few years back, and he's actually drumming on the records. Yeah. And I'll always put him down as like one of the best drummers that I know. Do you know what I mean? So he is really good.
But did you go to gigs yourself as a little one, just seeing your dad play gigs and that kind of stuff then?
Yeah, I think the local ones really. I mean, so I live in a little village called Whaley Bridge, and it's just a little village in Derbyshire. But when I was growing up, the pub scene and the music scene was really, really good. So on a Friday and a Saturday night, you know, you'd have 3 or 4 pubs where there's live music on. And so we'd all go out as mates and we'd watch these bands play. And for a small village that not a lot of people have really heard of, it was filled with like great musicians. And a lot of them are still playing to this day, do you know what I mean? But I used to go into the pubs and see them, and I used to be like, that'll be me in a few years. You know, I want to do what you're doing. And yeah, I was never, it was never thinking on a bigger scale. It was just kind of, I was just desperate and obsessed with just playing live music.
But did your dad want you to be a musician? Did he warn you against being a musician? What kind of influence did he have on, you know, going into a career?
I think he's always been like, you know, behave yourself kind of thing. Okay. But no, I think any direction in terms of music and to carry on playing it, and you know, he's chuffed to bits with how things are going at the moment. Okay. And yeah, he's just kind of he's kind of always said, you know, keep your feet on the ground, but just keep kind of doing what you're doing. And yeah, that's the best kind of advice I've been given, really. Is just, I think it is kind of important to keep your feet on the ground and just enjoy what you're doing, you know.
Yeah, well, it is hard to get on board and to support a knobhead these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you see these young bands fucking about, pretending they're Liam Gallagher and that.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's a bit cringe these days, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there's plenty of them about that. Yeah. He played a guitar for 2 minutes and all of a sudden the world's biggest rock and roll star. It's like, come on.
So what did your dad say to you? I'm just interested in the relationship with your dad and music and that kind of stuff. What did he say to you? What did he warn you against?
I suppose, you know, just kind of getting involved in the wrong stuff that rock and roll and touring kind of entails. You know.
And is he speaking from experience?
Oh no, I don't think he's speaking from experience. Right. No, I don't know that. I don't think he's been on the road. I think he's probably just going off the stories of bands and stuff. And you know, because I suppose nights out after gigs kind of comes hand in hand with playing music. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it certainly did when I was mid-20s, doing my gigs and stuff like that. I kind of get my gig money at the end of the night, and then by the time I left the pub, there wouldn't be any of it left. So, but yeah, I think it's always been the kind of a thing of just keep your feet on the ground and keep enjoying it. I think that's the key. That's certainly something that I'd say to anyone is like, always just enjoy what you're doing. And yeah, and just keep doing that really.
So to earn a crust, it's harder than ever to make money in the music industry. So do you do?
Yeah,
Is it like cover stuff that you do in the week and that kind
yeah,
of
I
stuff?
do a lot of cover stuff and I play a lot of parties and things like
Yeah. Okay.
that. You know, which is great. And then the original stuff I kind of do on the side, and
Mm.
you know, I'm trying to get somewhere with that. You know, like a lot of musicians are out there, and like you just said as well. You know, it is tough. Um, you know, the music industry is hard, and there's that many people out there, and that many really talented musicians that may never get heard in a way that they deserve to be. I think it kind of all it lands on a lot of luck, but I think also like determination. You know,
Yeah.
some people can kind of get a bit freaked out by it and be like, you know, if I'm never going to make it, then what's the point? Whereas I think the best thing you can do really is never think, you know, what is making it? You know, in my eyes, playing music and doing what you love, you've already made it. It's just whatever stage you're playing on is, you know, that can kind of change. But um, yeah, it is. It is. I suppose it is hard. I mean, my Spotify recently, with certainly with the latest single that I've released, Whispers, has really gone up and up and up, and that's amazing to see. You know, the streams that are happening each day, and the countries it's getting played in, and you know the amount of followers that I'm starting to gather. So that's amazing. But I'm way off in terms of, you know, these massive musicians and bands that have got millions of streams and things like that. So um,
Well,
yeah,
you just see loads of people, like particularly recently on Facebook, I've seen loads of bands posting how much they've been paid off Spotify for the last year, and some people got a fiver, some people got a couple of £100. You know, it's
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
the music industry. An old mucker of mine once told me the music industry is a bit of a t-shirt selling business, isn't it? You know, it's you have to make money in other ways than the actual love
yeah,
of writing a tune, I suppose. It's quite
yeah,
it's hard, isn't
yeah.
it?
I think it comes down to a lot of other things, you know, rather than just music.
Mm.
It's that it seems these days that to kind of get somewhere pretty big is there's a lot of other things that go on. You know,
Yeah.
your social media's got to go right up, and like you said, merchandise and things like that. I've recently supported a band called Shambolics from
Yeah.
Scotland, so they're
Nice.
doing really well. So me and the lads in my band, we supported them a couple of weeks ago at Night and Day Cafe in Manchester, and really nice lads. But they're selling merch at the end of the night and t-shirts and signed, you know, vinyl and stuff like that. And you know, little things like that is kind of what I suppose a lot of artists and bands are adding to their thing. Because, like you said, it's very difficult to make a decent living from just solely playing music and going on Spotify. You know what I mean? So
Well, I do love the Shambolics. I've been aware of
yeah,
them for ages. I think it was Tramlines Fringe Festival, probably 8 years, maybe not, maybe 8 years. I don't know. Time flies so quick these days. But I can remember seeing them down at Rocking Chair in Sheffield and just think, oh, they're a good, cool band.
yeah,
See them still have that energy and lust for cracking on with the music and that kind of stuff. The last time I saw them, they were supporting Tom Megan, I think, at Ritz in Manchester.
yes.
I thought, and I think
Yeah,
they're
have they just been announced for that or something?
yeah, they're doing it again in
Yeah,
December when it's renewed. So I've seen them on tiny stages, I've seen them on big stages. I just love that they're still fighting for it, I suppose. It's great to see
of
that.
course, yeah. We can tell that in the music as well. You know,
Yeah.
there was a band on before us, and then we went on. And it was great. And then obviously the Shambolics fans were kind of turning up with the t-shirts and stuff. And as soon as he started the set, it was just like a lot of energy, sing along, kind of dancey indie rock. But you can tell by the way that they're playing, you know, that they're well into it. And I was chatting to the one of the singers and because I think there's two songwriters in the band. They both kind of share the singing. And I was chatting to one of them, just said like, "How's the tour going?" And they're just like, "Yeah, you know, we're knackered. You know, we're traveling up and down the country and kind of sleeping in the van, B&Bs, and then gigging, and then going to the next one." And he said, but at the same time, like it's amazing, you know. So they've definitely got the buzz for it, and you know, I wish them really well. I think they'll go really far.
Yeah. Hope so. And I think I'm going to the Tom Megan one again, so I'll have the pleasure of watching them again. Yeah, nice
Yeah,
one. So yeah, I am always interested with musicians that have a bit of a double life, particularly when you're doing. My mate Sam Shadell has recently gone full time music himself, but just doing his own stuff. Where in the past, he did have a career doing weddings and that kind of stuff, and he kind of lost the love of that after a bit because he so wanted to do his own original stuff.
Mm.
What's your experience with living a double life with both things?
I think, yeah, obviously it is different because I mean, a lot of the time when you're doing your gigs with like the originals gigs,
Mm.
you're not going to be doing that 4 or 5 times a week every week. The originals gigs kind of come. I suppose it's how big you are and whether you're on a tour or anything like that.
Yeah.
But so I kind of balance it out where because I do that many covers gigs and stuff like that, that's kind of my time to kind of chill out, play the acoustic guitar, and then the original stuff is like my project. That's my kind of thing that I do, and I try not to kind of think too much between them both and think, oh well, I've got to do one or the other. I kind of balance it out in a way where they're both working and I'm enjoying
Yeah.
both just as much as each other. I think the only thing was we played Manchester Academy in July. There's 5 of us in my band, so I play guitar and there's 2 other guitarists. So we make a lot of noise, and we've done the Academy and it was great. And then the day after, I just had a little acoustic gig at a little pub where there was like a handful of people,
Yeah.
and I was sat there playing, and I was like, this was a bit different to last night, So I suppose the come down from that to to kind of doing the covers stuff is different, but yeah, I try not to think too much into it and just enjoy it all the time.
Yeah, nice. Nice. It is a difficult relationship, I suppose. The highs and lows of the music industry. I don't think that'll ever end, really. There's always going to be. You can overthink these things, can't you? And I think I'm always looking for a story where sometimes I don't think there is one when I speak to musicians, just around, like the struggle of the industry and that kind of stuff. Because I do bang on about the struggle of it, but it's such a fun industry and there's so many opportunities and interesting people to meet that sometimes I think I miss that side of it and just concentrate on the graft of it, really, sometimes when I'm speaking to people. That's just my head and where I am with it.
Yeah. I think I mean one of the great things, like you just said about the music industry and stuff like that, is the people that you meet along the way.
Yeah.
And the more that you play and the more places that you go to, the more people you get chatting to, and you kind of bump into such and such, and then you all of a sudden start developing like little connections and stuff like that. They've all got their own stories, and I know a lot of musicians that are kind of doing things similar to me. Where they're just doing the covers gigs at bars and weddings and stuff like that, and doing really well. And then obviously meeting people on the other side, where they're doing their original stuff and they're trying to push it. And when we did this, like I said, the Academy gig, when we did that, and there was 3 other bands. There was a solo artist called Grace Kelly. She's from New Zealand, and she's based in Manchester. Is amazing, brilliant artist, really, really nice girl. And then a couple of other bands as well, Hotel Cola and False Indigo. So we all kind of met up and just kind of, we just had this great night together. And it was so nice just to kind of meet other musicians and talk to them and, kind of hear their stories and what they're up to and stuff like that. And yeah, I always, going back to my dad has always said that musicians, they'll be some of the most interesting people that you ever meet. And so far, I don't think he's wrong,
Yeah, no, I do love that. I do love that. And I'm going to make a conscious effort of stop trying to look for trouble where there is none, I think, just in general, I think. So you've got your new single out, Whispers, that's out now there. So within the description of this podcast, I'm going to put a link for people to download it and have a nosy.
Yeah, great.
And I know you've got this gig in Manchester as well at Gulliver's coming up too. That will come. Again, you can check out the link in the description and you can treat yourself to a little ticket down at Gulliver's. But just hanging around where you are now. So is this your first single, or what stage?
No, so
stage are you at with your solo stuff now? Where would you put yourself? Where would you position yourself at the minute?
Yeah, I think it's I released my first single a couple of years ago properly, but I've written stuff for years. I think it was just getting round to actually putting stuff out there to the world. And you know, you've got to release things yourself, and your promo you kind of have got to do yourself. So it's a lot of work. But the first single, and I was really happy with it. And then I just kind of got the buzz to kind of release more, and I kind of felt like, you know, if I committed myself to kind of releasing a single every 3 or 4 months, that'd be great. But somewhere along the line, I must have submitted something to a label in Manchester called Scruff of the Neck, and they checked my stuff out. And then months after, I got an email just kind of offering me this spotlight event at the Academy. And it was the date that we picked was for my latest single, Whispers. It was coming out that week. So I kind of thought like, oh, you know, this is great. We've got a big event coming up. We've got a single coming out, Whispers. And since then, certainly since July, everything has just really, really, really taken off. You know, a lot more exposure. Social media has gone up and up and up. Like I said, the streams, and I think the single Whispers is my strongest so far, and it's kind of, for me, it's set a level now in terms of future releases. You know, I'm almost thinking, right, well, that's where Whispers is at, so the next one's got to go up here, and then the one after that's got to go up here, and that's kind of how I'm trying to aim it and picture it. But yeah, you know, I'm committing to writing stuff and releasing stuff. I've got so much stuff that I've written that's ready for the studio. Of course, it's money.
Yeah.
You know, if someone gave me 10 grand, I could go and record an album, but I haven't got 10 grand to go and do that. Yeah. So you kind of just do a single at a time. But yeah, Whispers is doing really well. And I'm really chuffed with that. It's had some really nice reviews. You know, been shared about, put on a lot of playlists and things like that. So yeah, that's my proudest kind of release so far.
Yeah, so you got your single, you got your big gig. So
yeah,
just rewinding a little bit, just before, because we know where we are now. But how long have you been doing the solo stuff to start getting these opportunities?
Well, the first kind of, I've done a couple of originals acoustic nights. So a cool place in Stockport called Basque.
Yeah.
I did an originals event there on a Monday evening for the Acoustica, it's called. So I went down there with just my guitar, and I obviously did a few of my tunes, and that was good. And then I kind of post things here and there. And Whispers, going back to that single, Whispers was one that I was playing acoustic for a while. And I got that properly recorded, like a live video recording of it. And it got some great feedback that it kind of made me think, I think this should be the next one that I take into the studio and do. So that's what I did. And if you listen to the acoustic version compared to what that version is like now, you know, they're so different. But in terms of the original stuff and full band, the Academy in July was the first time that, you know, that me and the lads, they're all musicians that I know. And I kind of got in touch with them all. And we played in bands and stuff like that, and done loads of music together that over the years. And I obviously got in touch with them and just said, listen, I've got this original spot. I want a full band with me that night. You know, do you fancy getting involved? And they liked my music anyway. So they were like, yeah, absolutely. So July was the first time really that we were given, you know, 40-minute set, original stuff, full band. And then it's just kind of, you know, snowballed since then. After the week after, we were given the Shambolics support gig, and then the guys at the label kind of said, well, we've got a slot in January at Gulliver's, which we quite fancy giving to you, and you can headline it, you know, sell your tickets and stuff like that. So before I knew it, after that Academy gig, you know, we had the Night and Day booked, and then we had this Gulliver's headline show booked. So yeah, it just kind of took off over a few weeks. So
you just got to ride the wave, and that's difficult.
Yeah,
Keeping the momentum as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you know, I try not to think too far forward in terms of like after the gigs. You know, now my whole focus now is just on Gulliver's, doing it right, putting on a good show, getting the tickets sold, and hopefully, you know, building a bit of a fan base. You know, because the music scene in Manchester has always been great. There's a lot of people out there that are interested in new music, up and coming music. But at the end of the day, you've got to get out there and play it for the people to hear you, you know. So yeah, I'm hoping that there's more followers and more people that'll start coming to the gigs the more that I play, you know.
Yeah. So looking past the single and the big gig in January, what exciting things have you got coming up for the new year that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah. The new year, I think it'll just be concentrating obviously on Gulliver's and then new music after that. Just before it though, got some really, really cool stuff which hasn't been announced too much, but obviously that is coming. But the label in Manchester, Scruff of the Neck, they work with a writer and a producer. They've got a few, I think, that work for the label, but one of them is called Joe Cross, and he's the bass guitarist for the Cortinas. So the guy from the label kind of put us in contact and just said, we think it would be good for you to work together on a single, potentially an EP. So they put us in contact, and we kind of like sent some emails to each other, said hello. I sent a demo over to Joe and just said, I think this will be quite a strong one because it's a song that I recorded that we played on the Academy night, and it went down really, really well. So I sent him this demo, and he was really into it. So I met him a few weeks ago in Manchester at the studio, but it's like the studio where Cortinas go and do their stuff, and yeah, it was a bit surreal. But yeah, chatting to him, and he was really into the music, and we were just like kind of having a chat and getting to know each other. So he's going to be recording in my next single, which we're hoping to release at the end of January, but we're going to do that at his studio in Paris. So mid-December, going to be flying out there for a few days, recording the single with him, and just having a good time.
Jetting off to Paris and having a good old time in a studio over there. That sounds like the stuff dreams are made of, mate.
Doesn't it just?
Yeah, good work.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be great. Yeah, and I just think as well, like as a singer and a songwriter and what have you, I've never done anything like this before. I've always kind of gone to a local studio or something. So to be given the opportunity to go abroad and do something in a completely different environment, and it's something that I couldn't turn down. So can't wait for that.
Brilliant. Well, it's lovely getting to know you. I feel like I know who you are now, and I can properly. I just like having chat with new people and getting to know people. I don't know you personally. We're just having a chat today. We're just getting to know each other a little bit, and just
absolutely, and
just building relationships, and that's kind of what it's all about, isn't it? Just having a good time, enjoying what other people are doing as well. I think it's great.
Absolutely, yeah. No, been great chatting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Just for everybody listening, I'll mention it again. There's a link within the description of this podcast where you can buy a ticket for the Gulliver's gig if you're Manchester based, or if you're not, don't matter. Travel. It's not the end of the world. You'll be all right. And there'll be a link to Whispers as well, your new single, mate. Leave us with a little thought from yourself, mate. If people are hovering over those links and they haven't yet, and they're a little bit undecided, what would you say to those people other than just press the link? Because I get that answer a lot.
We can check out my Instagram page. There's a lot of content on there. So that's adamrobinson.music. And there's loads of cool little films on there and clips of us playing, and people can kind of keep up to date with where I'm at and where I'm playing at. So they might end up stumbling across it and see that I'm playing at the local pub or something like that. And yeah, in terms of the single, keep getting it played. I hope you like it. Whispers, it's a good tune, so turn it up.
It is a good tune. It's on the RGM playlist as well, and it's all over RGM this week. And yeah, thanks, Adam, for joining us, mate. I really enjoyed getting to know you.
Nice one.
A massive 2025. It sounds like exciting things are happening, and enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for joining us, pal. Thank you.
Cheers, bud. Thank you very much.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my little studio. We're just having a look around. This is where I record loads of good chats, and you know that already because you've just finished one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed it, have a look around. Look at this. There's different videos all around here. New videos that you can enjoy too. I promise you, it'll be all right. Nice one. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. See you soon.